Welcome back to Male Choice, where we're cutting through the noise and getting real about the truth no one else dares to speak. Today we're calling out the nonsense, because it's time someone holds women accountable for their actions and the unrealistic expectations they've been pushing on men for far too long.
A lot of these very beautiful young women were beautiful precociously, like from a very young age. They started to realize that they could command male attention using their bodies or their sensuality. And that was a power that they became aware of before they even really understood how to utilize it or to handle it. But because they became aware of that power at such an early age, a lot of them didn't develop other parts of their personality.
It's so common. I've seen that so many times.
But I can understand where they were coming from. Being a beautiful woman is like being a billionaire's scion. It's like the rules don't really apply to you. Why did I have to cultivate my intelligence? Because I thought that it was a way to make a living and to get money and to secure my place in the world. But if I could get money and secure my place in the world without the hard work of cultivating my intelligence and building my practice, or why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
You know, that might be a temptation that I might not have been.
Have you noticed that most of the videos where women are screaming, "We don't need men," are usually drunk party girls running on emotion, not logic? They're out there talking nonsense without even thinking about what they're saying. The truth is, we do need each other, but nowadays women are being taught that admitting men are needed makes them weak. It's ridiculous. Men and women were meant to complement each other, not compete. But feminism's twisted the narrative, making women believe that acknowledging the value of men somehow undermines them. It's all a lie. So, instead of working together, society's pushing this "I don't need a man" mentality, which only leads to broken relationships and miserable lives. We're supposed to be a team, not rivals.
I think even in society, we're taught that like when a divorce happens, you failed. And oh, I failed. Oh, that was the hardest thing to face. Also because I couldn't speak to people about it. Oh my God, I'm getting emotional. I couldn't speak to people about it because I didn't have the safety net of the home base to lean on. His family became my family. But when the divorce happened, I knew that eventually that was going to fade. And I think that, not to take away from who he was in my life, but that was so painful. I was losing the family members that I grew so close to, that validated my feelings, that listen.
Let's get real. The question is, who's asking for the divorce? 80% of the time, it's the women. That number alone tells you everything you need to know about the modern mindset when it comes to marriage and commitment. The new generation treats divorce like a quick fix, a fast escape from any relationship issue, without a second thought about the long-term consequences. They think the grass is greener on the other side until reality smacks them in the face. Today's women are too quick to run at the first sign of trouble. Unlike past generations, where people worked through their problems and stayed loyal to the vows they took, these modern women are all about personal happiness. Forget the commitment. They don't realize marriage isn't just about living in bliss, it's about support, facing challenges and sticking together. They leave with these wild expectations of newfound freedom, but what they don't see coming is the loneliness and financial struggles that hit them afterward. Many of them had the security of a man providing for them, but they left chasing some fantasy of a better life. They think they deserve better without putting in the work to make the marriage stronger. It's pure entitlement, blaming their unhappiness entirely on their partner, without taking responsibility for their own role in the relationship's downfall. And what's pushing this mindset? Popular culture and social media. Women are constantly fed this nonsense that they should never settle, that they deserve the absolute best, and that if something doesn't make them happy, they should walk away. Sure, self-respect and happiness matter, but this mentality trashes the value of commitment and fighting through the tough times. It's toxic, and it's not just hurting these women, it's destroying families, damaging their kids, and leaving their ex-husbands to deal with the fallout emotionally and financially. In the end, these women realized too late that the grass isn't greener. They thought freedom was what they needed, but what they gave up, stability, companionship, turns out to be much harder to replace. They get short-term freedom, but it comes at the cost of long-term happiness. Finding a new man who checks all their boxes? Yeah, good luck with that. Reality hits hard when they see it's not as glamorous as they imagined. That 80% divorce stat isn't just a number. It's a reflection of how society has conditioned women to value their personal happiness over commitment, to think that leaving is always better than staying and working through the tough times. This approach is not only wrecking their own lives, but tearing apart the fabric of society. The real challenge is for these women to wake up and learn the value of perseverance, mutual respect, and sticking it out when things get tough.
So I'm super annoyed right now because this light went out. How am I supposed to get to this light? How?
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
We all know this is bullshit.
Sweetie, remember this?
I live alone and I own my own home, and I've never had to call a man to help with any repairs. My female best friend and I installed new flooring in all the bedrooms. I work in production and I can operate anything from a simple power drill to a hammer drill. I can operate a scissor lift and a forklift. I'm also incredibly resourceful.
Let's take a minute to imagine the absolute chaos that would erupt across the world, especially in these modern cities, if men decided to stop working for just 1 month. Picture it. All the road workers, telecom technicians, engineers, electricians, construction crews, every guy responsible for keeping society functioning, saying, "You know what? I'm done. I'm taking a month off." The world would fall apart overnight. You think women could handle that? Let's be real. They wouldn't have a clue where to start. These are the same women who can't even change a flat tire, but they expect to run the world? Give me a break. The roads would crumble. Power, gun, Jakes Borisenda the Abisitas. Zezison Sasigambi, tap, be meter the Casby Swedes would set us all. What will meet salaps? The internet would go down, and suddenly no one's posting selfies or sending emojis because they'd have no connection. Women wouldn't last a day without their phones, let alone keep society functioning without men holding it all together. Nah! It's funny how they sit there, talking about how independent they are, but let's see how independent they feel when the electricity's out, the roads are undrivable, and there's no clean water coming through the pipes. Who do you think makes sure all of that works, men? And not just any men, the hard-working guys doing the jobs women don't want to think about, let alone do themselves. You ever see a woman laying asphalt in the blazing sun? No, because they're not cut out for it. The truth is, modern society relies on men to keep everything running smoothly. And women, they don't even notice half the work that goes into making their comfortable lives possible. They're too busy complaining about men, trying to tell us we're the problem, when in reality, we're the reason they have the luxury to complain in the first place. Without men, the world would grind to a halt. Imagine the chaos if there were no men to fix the roads, repair the infrastructure, maintain the electrical grids, or keep the telecom systems online. Modern cities would turn into wastelands in a matter of days, and don't think it stops at the obvious jobs. It goes deeper than that. Who's running the power plants? Who's transporting goods across countries? Who's keeping your buildings safe? Your cities secure? It's men. Every step of the way, and let's not even get started on how these women wouldn't be able to live without their phones. The moment their little screens go black, they'd lose their minds. That's how disconnected they are from reality. Their whole lives revolve around social media, texting, and mindless distractions. You think they're going to figure out how to keep the world running when they can't even go a day without checking Instagram? Please. The real world isn't about likes and followers. It's about hard work, sacrifice, and responsibility. And guess who carries that burden? Men. So while women are out there preaching about how strong and independent they are, just remember, if the men stopped for even a short time, the whole system would collapse, and it wouldn't take long for everyone to realise just how much they rely on us. So go ahead. Keep talking about how you don't need men. The second the lights go out, you'll see just how wrong you are.
Esty, what is a tradwife?
Well, a tradwife is just short for traditional wife, and it is a homemaker, and she cooks, she cleans, she takes care of the home and the children, if there are any, and the online world gave it the term tradwife for short.
What motivated you to pursue this traditional life?
Well, I was somewhat raised traditional. My mom was a traditional wife until my parents got divorced. I think I felt the need to fit the mold of the world and go get a degree, find a career. And I did go to college for almost 2 years, and then I dropped out because secretly I always wanted this lifestyle. Of course, you need a husband to have this lifestyle. So when I met my now husband, everything just came into place. And that's really the inspiration behind it is
Traditional wives come from traditional households where they were raised to be wives and mothers. They grew up with both parents, learned what a healthy relationship looks like from their fathers, and that's not something you can fake or throw in throw on like a new makeup trend. You either have it or you don't. Real traditional wives, they're too busy taking care of their families to be making TikTok videos for attention. They don't need validation from random men online. They get it from their husbands and kids, the people who actually matter. And men? They've got to understand that wives need the resources to run a household. Food, clothes, and everything else. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Society needs a serious remodel because the dynamics we have now aren't working. We need to embrace our natural roles and be content with who we are. Men are meant to be the breadwinners, providing for and respecting their wives, while women create a home, raise the kids, and provide companionship. The partnership works because both sides play their part. But the moment you try to reverse those roles, it falls apart. Biologically and physiologically, we just aren't built that way. You can't expect women to be out fighting wars or taking on physical challenges like men. And you can't expect men to handle things like reproduction. Nature designed us differently for a reason, and denying that just leads to chaos.
Meet Nara Smith, a captivating presence on TikTok, known for her elaborate cooking videos showcasing homemade meals for her family, including her husband, model Lucky Blue Smith, and their 2 children. Married since February 2020, Nara, at just 22 years old, has embraced motherhood wholeheartedly, sharing her journey openly on social media. Born in South Africa and raised in Germany, Nara's multilingual background adds depth to her content, which has garnered her a following of millions. Despite originally aspiring to be a marine biologist, Nara's path shifted towards cooking and social media, where she found her niche. She is famous for making food from scratch, such as homemade cereal and bagels, has earned her widespread admiration, despite facing occasional backlash.
On the other side, you've got women who fully embrace what it means to be traditional. They understand family values, taking care of the house, raising the kids, and living a content life without chasing money or validation from strangers online. These women get it. They know that happiness doesn't come from trying to impress people on the internet, but from building a strong family unit. And what's crazy is that the women who reject being wives are the same ones complaining that they aren't married yet. How do you expect to get married when you don't even want to embrace the role of a wife? They think serving the man who's out there providing for the family, the father of their children, is somehow worse than serving some boss at a 9-to-5 who couldn't care less about them. These bosses can and will replace them in a heartbeat if they're no longer useful. Yet they prioritize that over their own families. It's weird how they can't see the obvious. You'd rather work for someone who sees you as just another cog in the machine than support a man who's dedicated his life to providing for you and your children. Traditional women know the truth. They know the value of supporting their man, raising a family, and creating a real home. They aren't out there confused about why they're single. They understand that fulfillment comes from family and commitment, not from chasing status or some corporate ladder. But the women who reject all of this, they're left wondering why they're alone, wondering why they can't find a man willing to stick around. They've got it backward, thinking that being a traditional wife is somehow demeaning, when in reality it's far more stable and rewarding than serving a boss who will cut you loose the second it's convenient.